The Tibetan Plateau is the highest plateau on Earth, with its major part located in China. With an average elevation of over 4,000 meters, the plateau is the headwaters of most streams in Asia. The average annual temperature in the central region of the plateau is below 0 degrees Celsius. As the highest point on the Earth, it is called the roof of the world. Compared with the South and North Pole, the Tibetan Plateau is a place for diverse human activities and home to generations of several ethnic groups. The distance between the world's highest mountain, Chomolungma, and the plains and canyons is nearly 8,000 meters. Due to the elevation changes here, animal activities are different from those in other regions. Local people have formed a subtle relationship with animals. Their reverence for heaven and earth and love for life make animals feel safe. Living in harmony with animals, they have acquired spiritual comfort. The typical images of the roof of the world are composed of snow-covered mountains, glaciers, grassland, and wasteland. However, on the eastern part, there are vast, old-growth forests at the foot of snow-covered mountains. Below forests, the elevation gradually decreases. The river valley boasts pleasant climate and rich soil. At the foot of the thick woods is the remains of a village. Every day, Duobujie walks across the remains to where animals often linger. He will shout into the deep forest. This is the Tibetan macaque, which can only be found in China. Over 2,000 such animals live here. A dozen years ago, over 50 macaques burst into the village where Duobujie lived. These wild animals not only ate crops, but also refused to leave. A serious conflict seemed unavoidable, as most villagers were former hunters. Things then developed in an unbelievable way. Hunters gave up their houses to monkeys. Many families began to exploit new lands, and many people reset their job plans.
보시면 다 강배 작업을 지금 안녕 트랜스데 이나데 강게야 인디시시진데 답 제작에다 거는데 나니니 수부시기다 이거는 같이 join가 소장이나 레디에 나로부터 사가이나 더 상관로 배시하는 중요하게.
They believe this is the reward for their compromise made back then. These areas, full of happy memories for families, are now paradises for monkeys. In April, peach blossoms dominate the valley in Ningxia County. Monkeys also love the blossoms. Duobujia has been very careful these days. He has prepared more fruits and peanuts than usual, as he knows a lot of monkey babies are born this season.
같이 그놈이 배기는데 디시 세상 디사 야가 인데래 하가시 가시게지 지리다 공부다 양치 따가는 신도름도 그만 디시지노 너게 아바다 아마 비우레시 또 디시 윤데도 아마 너 그만 루지 더 사시나.
The plateau culture teaches people to live in harmony with animals. More than 800 bird species have chosen to live in the plateau, making it one of China's reserves with the most bird species, including some very rare ones. A couple are working really hard by an average lake on the grassland in northern Tibet. They are clearing their courtyard, building a home. And taking turns to hatch their crystals of love. The black-necked crane, the sole crane living in the highlands of the earth, is as precious as the giant panda. Once married, male and female couples will accompany each other throughout their entire lives. crane babies look quite different from their parents, and they need some time before mastering the skills to feed themselves. During the last 2 or 3 months, they have to learn how to survive in such a harsh environment. In autumn, only one of the 2 babies is still alive. It's time to fly over snow-covered mountains. The journey ahead is full of challenges and difficulties. Last year, Dawa came upon this black-necked crane as she was grazing her cows. Recently, Dawa sensed a little anxiety in the bird. After flying a long journey, most of these cranes that previously lived separately on the grassland in northern Tibet would gather together in the villages around the river valley. Dawa has realized what the problem is. This crane fears loneliness, despite its belly being well filled. Afterwards, she attempted to search for another wounded crane around the village when grazing cows. She tried to find a companion for this bird. However, no injured crane has been found yet. Dawa and her husband continue to cure the crane by mixing butter with penicillin, a secret recipe they learned as children. Dawa wants to ask the suggestions of her son, who is at school in Lhasa. An artificial leg, inconceivable for Dawa. But what happened next put an end to Dawa's hesitation. A stray dog attacked the crane flock. Dawa thought to herself, healthy cranes could encounter danger, let alone her wounded bird. So, she decided to call the rescue station. In case the crane doesn't like the food at the rescue station, Dawa has prepared 50 kilograms of wheat for it. These black-necked cranes have flown away to return to their home in northern Tibet. Dawa hopes her crane can do so one day. Before long, Dawa ran into another new friend. People's love for animals helps close the distance between them. Herdsmen's sheep often play around with Tibetan antelopes. Nevertheless, there is also danger in such closeness. Several herdsmen called the police as wolves attacked their sheep once again last night. Over 20 sheep were injured, and they feel angry and sad. While they will get compensation from the government for their lost sheep, the wandering wolves are still a big headache. On one snowy day, they ran into several stray wolf cubs and took them to their tents. The hostess fed these pups with the dead sheep left by the wolves. Still, they had pity on these cubs. If they hadn't offered help, these young animals would have been killed by the gale and snow on that night. They believe that lives should be saved. The Tibetan Plateau is home to the most nature reserves in China. There are 47 in Tibet, 1/3 of which serve as protection areas. Blue sheep, dancers on cliffs, can even doze off on the precipice. Such a large flock of sheep will definitely attract snow leopards, their natural enemies. This is a kind of mysterious and rare animal that are often seen at places with elevations of over 4,000 meters. That's why it's called the King of Snow Mountain. George Schaller, a scientist dedicated to promoting the study and protection of snow leopards worldwide, is considered one of the most outstanding faunists at present.
Oh, anything in a cave? This looks fresher than the other one. So any snow leopard that comes is likely to...
Dr. Schaller first discovered a nest where leopards took short breaks, and then found their hair in a cave on a higher mountain. To leave behind their smells, leopards deliberately rub their hair against rocks. A rewarding day. But Dr. Schaller didn't stay longer, as if avoiding disturbing a friend's secluded life. In the views of Dr. Schaller, studying wild animals requires him to spend as much time as possible living in nature.
Look what I have here. It's a little black caterpillar. When we drove from Yushu to Tsido, there were many of them on the road.
This is what Dr. Schaller saw. Many cars suddenly stopped, and people went out to seek worms on the road. These are the larvae of a kind of moth. People carefully picked them up to avoid running them over. These little creatures were placed deep in the meadow. Here, herdsmen often spot snow leopards when grazing, and they can even tell where leopards' caves are.
雪豹的地方的位置就是大概就那个位置。Let's take on that cliff.
Right. Wonderful photos. You could be right, but that's too much guessing. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Although Dr. Schaller didn't come across a snow leopard, he was not disappointed. For him, studying these animals does not necessarily require meeting with them. His biggest dream is that these friends can live at ease. In a tent woven by yak hair, the atmosphere is a little tense. A Tibetan mastiff is standing at the door, as if knowing what its masters are saying. They decide to find a companion for the old dog. Maybe this can cure its depression. The male host, Ani Mama, went to find Tibetan mastiffs for their dog. For herdsmen, Tibetan mastiffs are not ordinary dogs, but the guards for their families. It is said that a purebred Tibetan mastiff can fight with 3 wolves, and even defeat a leopard. They are understanding and with strong will. If Tibetan mastiffs are dogs, they should be called heaven dogs. Apparently, this one is not the ideal one for Ani Mama. There are a series of standards for selecting Tibetan mastiffs, such as a thick skin, huge claws, and a mighty appearance. But it's the first sight that counts the most. This is a Tibetan mastiff raising family. Many foreigners have come here to buy Tibetan mastiffs. This dog is really good. Even though money is not a problem for Ani Mama, who owns over 300 yaks. But deep in his heart, he does not want to obtain his dog with money. Tibetan mastiffs are seldom sold between herdsmen, as this animal is priceless in their tradition. Despite his hard effort, Ani Mama is still empty-handed. But finding his own Tibetan mastiff should not be hasty. Local people who Ani Mama runs into and has a talk with may have several Tibetan mastiffs. It seems the dog has been waiting and then shows up at a proper time. The sight of the mastic cub made Ani Mama feel that they have known each other for several years. Moved by Ani Mama's sincerity, the host decided to give the pup to him for free. According to their tradition, Ani Mama should select an auspicious day to take the cub home, instead of taking him right now. Ani Mama returns with a hada, a white scarf. Searing its nose with the fire in the hearth. After this ceremony, the cub becomes one of the family and is called Jia Sui, literally a good year. Only in such a dignified way can the two lives enjoy equality. When milking sheep, the hostess picks up some colorful cloth strips. Under her gaze, a solemn ceremony is underway. Selecting sheep. Several ropes are thrown at these animals, and those that are selected will have different destinies. Though still living with the herd, those with their ears marked by colorful cloth are exempt from being butchered throughout their entire lives. These lucky ones are called set-free sheep. Many Tibetans believe forgiving a sheep can drive away diseases and bad luck. An old man and a sheep appear regularly every day. The old man is named Tsuwang. He calls the sheep Tsuren.
teaching not doing that deal. Look teaching. Look, Shimi Zazilla, Sandia Tunguru. 부위 아마 내봤지 그래봐. 텐티 십주 십구 냐마데 녀라. 라운드 배바 십주 십구 세용아. 디 녀네. 텐다고라 다다고라 거디 시디야. 시신의 녀지.
The routine work for Tseren is watching people go for ritual walks. It will stop all of a sudden and observe their activities. After his wife passed away 8 years ago, Tsewang bought the sheep, through which he expressed his expectation for the reincarnation of the dead, as well as his tender memories. Tsewang shears Tseren every year and puts away the wool to make a quilt for himself. The 80-year-old Tsewang is sick, so he cannot go out for the ritual walk. Tseren refuses to go out with others, including Tsewang's children. Tsewang decides to hold a family meeting.
자, 다 야구 서 아유 야.
시죠.
다 로드 간제 간제 아무라 저버리 간제 다 지로를 깨고 뇌요 말이 간제.
年三年那前呢，落地那不应该说啥东西那现在要学的，那看不进那过去我单过去我才那是咋呢？俺要学嘛的，6天打我了吼。
그냥 내가 자는 보라 고래 기계네.
Apparently, this is a happy gathering. The Tibetan New Year is coming. Sheep's head is the most important food during the festival. Sheep statues should be placed at the tables. Sawang's children and grandchildren come together, and their laughter fills up the room. When the air is filled with happiness, Sawang stands up to see Tsuren with some New Year's snacks.
그가 누구로 굴러내고 세상 다들은 나나야 다르고 점주는 땜대는 로자띠는 땜자띠 tên 누구 개발키스 그 줄 돌아래 시어주란지래도 시어주란지래 그냥 아시
There are a lot of ladder images drawn on the rocks on the back mountain. It is said that the late family members can go up to heaven along the ladder. When saving a life, you've built a ladder. Sawang likes to watch Lhasa from this angle. So does Tsuren. In Tibetan, Tsuren means longevity.